Challenges in life are inevitable. But the challenges we are facing in Nigeria now, are those also inevitable? So how are you coping? Just before we came on, I saw a commercial of something bull rice. And my comment was, they're advertising a bag of rice that is between 70 and 80,000 naira on television for us to buy.
For now.
Whereas our minimum wage is 30,000 naira. How are we supposed to go and do that?
It's just for now. It will pass.
That is just to give somebody belly ache and headache and all the aches in the world. So how are Nigerians coping with the circumstances in which they have found themselves? Miracle Ihoma is a clinical psychologist, and he's going to be talking to us about how to cope with difficult times. Good morning, Miracle.
Good morning, ma'am.
So, you were here when that commercial came on?
Yeah.
For the rice?
Yeah.
How far now? How we good one?
Well, that's why as much as possible, I've reduced interaction with the news and what is going on. Yes, because it would reduce your productivity. In fact, it would, what you focus on is what magnifies, right? So that's why if you focus on the difficulties, it becomes bigger than it is, and it paralyzes you. But if you focus on what you can control, then you can be productive. And then, because really for a lot of people, they will do fine, or they are doing fine until they now begin to look at the news, the media, and see the price of these things.
Avoid it.
And then
miracle.
For some people, it's work.
Wait, thank you.
Yes.
Some people, they can't avoid it. You work in a bank.
Yeah.
And you
an
don't
18, 20-year-old comes to deposit cash in his or her name, running into tens of millions. Cash, tens of millions. You are a family man. You are looking for the next meal. School fees outstanding. Rent is due.
Oh dear.
And, you know, this fellow comes and...
This child.
If he's 18, he's not a child anymore.
So sometimes some people cannot avoid.
Miracle, 18-year-olds in Nigeria are still living in their parents' homes because they're still in school.
Sure.
So in a situation where you can't avoid it, what happens?
Yes, you still need to look for a way to focus on what is in your control, because you have to realize that in life, there are things that you can change. There are things that you can't change. For things you can change, you go ahead to change them. For things you can't change, you have to change how you're thinking about them. So for instance, there's no way I can influence the dollar to the naira. I can't influence when rain falls or when it doesn't fall. So what I can do is to change how I'm thinking about that situation, because I can't change it. So I have to focus on what is in my control and leave what is not in my control to God or to forces that, control that particular thing or those particular things, right? So why it is really not easy, and it's more in the faces of some people than others, we still need to look for a way to focus on what is in our control. And of course, there are other ways we can cope with the difficult situation right now, which includes living in the moment, living in the present. And that's very important, because a lot of the times people want to live in the future or in the past. But the past is past, the future is yet to come. All you have is right now. So stop living in what has happened in the past. Stop thinking about, what is going to happen tomorrow? How am I going to survive? Live in the moment, relish the present, enjoy the moment. When you take a meal to eat, enjoy it, live in the present, right? That would help you to, really cope with a lot of the anxieties and things that are going on. Another thing is put things in perspective, because for a lot of the times people overblow things and we blow things out of proportion sometimes. What I mean by that is, now sometimes people can begin to even personalize these things and say things like, I can't survive in this season. And really, if you look at it, is it true that you can survive? So you need to put things in perspective. Or my life is over. Your life is not over. This is not permanent and this is not personal. So you need to know that it's not personal and it's not permanent. It's definitely going to change. This is not the first time things are being difficult for a nation or for people, and hopefully it's going to pass. And even if it doesn't, you would always cope, because if you can survive 1 million sperms, and then win the race of becoming the person to be born, then you can survive, whatever challenge that you are being faced with right now in Nigeria.
A miracle. That analogy is something else. Can a person develop resilience? Can a person become more resilient now than they were, say, 3 years ago?
Yes.
How does one develop that?
Yeah, so resilience can be developed. And it's developed through changing your beliefs, because the reason a lot of people are not resilient is because of the beliefs they have about life. And sometimes it's as a result of their upbringing and that's why parents need to do better. You can't just give your children handouts and give them, quote unquote, everything they want without making them understand that life doesn't always work that way. Because if you give your child everything they want at every time they want it, then they will develop a perception about life that I can get anything I want anytime I want it. And when they go into the world and then realize that, I can't get everything I want whenever I want it, they break down, and then they're exposed. So if that child wants to develop resilience, he needs to begin to retrain themselves and retrain their brain to believe otherwise, and to understand that, for instance, rejection is not the end of life. No doesn't necessarily mean never. Right? And if I face challenges, is a part of life, because if we look at the definition of mental health again, we realize that mental health, as defined by World Health Organization, is the ability of an individual to realize his or her potential. 1. 2 is the ability of that individual to also be able to cope with the normal stresses of life. So coping with the stress of life is an integral part of our mental health. And one thing I like about that definition is that it calls stress normal. So stress is the constant K of life. If there's anything that is constant, that anybody, no matter your size, no matter your height, no matter your wealth, no matter your financial status, whatever it is going to face, it is stress. So the only solution to not facing stress is to exit this world. As long as you are here, you're going to face one form of stress. Yes, you will look for ways to avoid certain stress. You will look for ways to cope with some, but we will all be faced with stress. So what is more important is how we cope with stress, even more than the stresses themselves.
This is really interesting. But to many people, resilience is a word from the dictionary, full stop. Now, what you're saying right now is that resilience has to be an experience that people have to go through. People have to know these things.
Sure.
And I'm also glad that you mentioned background, where people are coming from. There are some people who have been nursed and fed, and they have grown on a diet of pessimism and negativity. They grew up in environments that are just not there. And they now found themselves in an opportune place. My friend was telling me about a friend who rose to the very top in the nation, and along the line had quite a significant misfortune that saw to not being seen for years. For such a person to come out, and there are many watching us right now, many businesses have collapsed, and their children are not living the way they used to live anymore. Shame and allied forces, they are really attacking quite a number of people. Lifestyle changes have happened to them. Sam Adeyemi said when he was going through his own, his meal pattern was 0 corn 1.
0 corn.
1.
So the corn was not categorized as
No, 0, no food in the morning. You know, we had 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. His own is 0 corn
In the morning,
1.
corn in the afternoon,
and dinner.
Wow.
A number of people may have deferred to that. There are those who their meat used to be like a feast, but now it's just like the tip of a nail.
cube.
So, how does such a person build resistance? They didn't see it coming. A year ago, the dollar was not close to what it is now.
True.
So, how do people build resilience? Our concern here, as you have identified, is mental health balance. We don't want to lose lives simply because things are difficult.
Yeah.
We want people to still be able to tell their stories of how they went through it after now.
Yeah.
How they survived it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's it's really pathetic, and it's affected everybody, right? And I empathize with every Nigerian, including myself, because we are in this together. When you called me yesterday, I was just laughing over the phone, and things like that. So I would say a sense of community is very important at this time. We need community as much as possible. And that's why I tell people that we must build communities within communities. So in that school that you are, the classroom or the department or the class that you belong to, build a community out of it. In that family, build a community out of it. In the workplace, build a community out of it. We must begin to build communities and support structures for times like this, even if not for anything, for moral support.
Especially because you're not going through it alone.
Alone, yeah. Okay. So there is that community of interest in that sense, and then we can all provide succor. We can all provide that support for each other. It's important that you don't get isolated in this time, and then you reach out to other people like minds, and then reach out to other people who are also going through the same thing, as well as the same way you are expecting other people to reach out to you. Reach out to other people as well. Know how they are doing. Let them know you're praying for them. Let them know that you are there for them in case they need anything. And if there is any way you can support, in case you are a bit more well-to-do than somebody else, because they call it less privileged. It means that there is somebody out there who is less privileged than you are right now. So you want to support in the little ways that you can. Sometimes it is not just about what you're giving, it's about what you are communicating, what you are giving. Because even if what you're giving is not sufficient, you are letting them know that I have you in mind and I am rooting for you. That's what that communicates. So it's important that you reach out to people and then help people every way that you can, morally, financially, and otherwise. Because we all need each other right now more than ever before. And we will surely get through this.
Miracle, in your practice, are more people coming in because of as a result of the times that we're in? And what kind of issues are they coming to you with?
All right. That's a very interesting question. And the plot is a bit dicey in the sense that, a lot more people are going through mental health challenges now. But then a lot more people can no longer afford it. Because therapy is expensive.
It is.
It's not cheap, right? So relatively, right? Because I don't like to use the word expensive, right? It's relatively, expensive. So it's dicey. So people who can afford it, of course, are coming forward to access therapy. And a lot of the issues are surrounding, it's a bit diverse. But one thing with therapy and with counseling and the trends is that it is seasonal, and the season affects the type of cases. For instance, a lot of the cases in February were relationship issues, marital issues, and things like that because of the, so it was typical of that month. And right now, yes, we are seeing a lot more people who are dealing with depressive symptoms, anxiety because of the times. And there are a lot more people, like I said, who really want to, but they can't afford it. Of course, we try as much as possible to do pro bono for the ones we can, right? But of course,
we can't do pro bono for everybody.
Because that's also my source of livelihood.
Exactly.
You don't want to need a therapy.
Exactly. You have to buy that bag of rice.
Exactly. So
okay.
Yeah.
To the community that you spoke about, please be as clinical as you can. What role should families play?
A major role, actually. Families.
Don't forget, I said should.
Yeah.
Because sometimes family is the stressor.
Exactly.
I said sometimes. Why are you looking at me like that? Sometimes in some cases, for some people, family is the fact that you know that you're going to get a call, get a text, stuff like that, and then you feel bad that you're unable to help and all of that. Then there is the role of friends. We'll come to, there are three of them.
Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah.
Talk to us first of all about family.
Yeah. I believe that the reason why God created, or the family was created in the first place, was primarily for support. All kinds of support. Physical, spiritual, emotional, or otherwise. Because family sends a signal that you're not supposed to do life alone. That signal is sent, even though a lot of people don't understand the purpose of the family. The purpose of the family is primarily to create a sense of support, financially, emotionally, morally, and otherwise. And it's very important that families play that role, especially in such a time as this. So families need to step up to their responsibility and begin to make sure that we are supporting each other. We are holding each other by the hands and all of that. I know community is missing a lot in families right now as a result of technology, because a lot of people within the family feel more connected to people online than even their families. And we need to begin to change that narrative. It is why there is a rise in mental health challenge, because we are losing community to individualism. We are now promoting a lot of individualism, and if you look at it, it is why it looks like for a long time Africa was a place of resilience, because we had a sense of collectivism and we grew in communities. Everybody raised everybody, everybody knew everybody, and that was our strength. But right now we are losing that gradually to social media, to individualism and things like that, and that's affecting our mental health negatively. So we need to get back to that and begin to function in the way family was created in the first place.
How about friends? Because that's another, that's supposed to be another community, right?
Yes.
And there's something that I heard from John Susan, a veteran broadcaster years ago, that there is always a public. And in every public, there are small publics.
Yeah. So
in your committee of friends, there are still those smaller silos of friends. How should people structure their friendships now in a way that it doesn't stress?
Yes. So I tell people that he who doesn't have friends is not so much better than he who has bad friends.
Oh dear. Try and be nice.
Yeah.
Your name is Miracle for a reason.
And that's the truth, because when you don't have friends, even though a lot of people pride in it, I don't have friends, it's not a good thing. Because you're supposed to have friends. You're supposed to be able to have 1, 2, 3 people that you can confide in, that you can talk to, that you can be vulnerable with, right? And that's what even Solomon Jesse in ancient history talked about when he said there are friends that are closer than brothers. Because we all need those type of people in our lives. And for some people as well, the other set of people who have bad friends, it has even a greater effect, negative effect on you. Because Henry Ford said something. He said, your best friend is the one who brings out the best in you. So it means that anybody...
Your worst friend is the one who brings out the worst in you.
So it means that many people's best friends are actually their worst friends. They are foes, not friends. So you really want to make sure that, okay, the friends you have around you are people who are bringing out the best in you, especially right now, so that you can maximize your potential and go through, because some friends are weights, they're not helping in any way. So you want to do an audit, right, this period, and make sure that, okay, the friends you have, pass the test of friendship, really. And then if you don't have friends at all, you want to really reach out to people who are like-minded, have like values and beliefs, and get them into your circle because you need friends at this time.
So you have to necessarily, what you're saying is you need to audit your friendships.
Exactly.
So you know, okay, this one is for this purpose, that one is for that purpose. You know the ones you put in your bedroom, the one you put in your kitchen, and the one you put in your toilet. Okay. How about faith? You know, I said there are three. Family, friends, now faith. What does data say about the role of faith, any religion, any faith at all, in coping with difficult times?
Yes. So faith scientifically has been proven to have a significant positive effect with resilience or coping with difficult times. And it looks like people who have faith tend to thrive more in difficult times than people who do not. And it is logical, because look at it. I believe that there's a higher power. I believe that there's somebody who is called God, who is looking after me, who is looking over me, who would make sure that, you know, I get sorted out no matter the challenges I go through. And then there is somebody who doesn't believe in that, who believes that whatever happens to him is as a result of faith, not faith. And whatever happens as a result of his own efforts or, you know, just natural circumstances that happen. Who is most likely to go through a difficult time? It will most likely be me, because I believe that no matter what happens, there is somebody who is going to take care of me. So this one doesn't believe that.
Belief is a significant
It's a significant role. I play a significant role. So faith actually has, in fact, when it comes to even suicidal ideation and people who, you know, kill themselves or die by suicide, research has proven that it is more difficult for people of faith to actually die by suicide than people who don't have faith. Or people who do not believe in a higher power, right, called God. So faith has a significant role to play at this time. And of course, if you are out there, you know, I don't want to tell you what to believe, right, because this is not a religious show, but that's what research shows, that if you have faith, you are more likely to actually thrive during difficult seasons like this.
Okay, so what is your last word now to Nigerians who are watching us now, who are thinking that this challenge we're facing now, this not being able to pay school fees, not being able to pay rent, not being able to feed the children, these things are going to last forever? Please talk to them and encourage them one way or another.
Yes, so in addition to what I just said about faith, another thing that is very critical and very important in thriving in difficult times is what is called locus of control. Locus of control are two types. We have internal locus of control and external locus of control. Internal locus of control talks about the belief that whatever happens, you know, to me is actually determined by my internal qualities. And then external talks about what happens to me is determined by external factors. Now, people who usually thrive during difficult times are people who believe that they can actually change their situation based on the things they focus on. Why people who believe on the external focus of control, locus of control, are people who, you know, tend not to thrive as well as those, you know, who have internal locus of control. So what I'm saying in essence is focus on the things you can control and, you know, do away with, get blind to the things that you cannot control. You cannot control the price of dollar to the naira, except, of course, you are the president and people within that space. You cannot control when rain will fall. So don't focus on that. Focus on what can I do, my mental health, self-care practices. I can, you know, exercise more. I can eat more nutritious meal. I can call a friend and interact with them. I can, you know, pray to God and believe, you know, that things will get better for me. Those are the things that you can do, and those are the things that you should focus on. Very importantly.
Clinical psychologist Miracle Ihoma, thank you for coming to give us these words of encouragement today. I think right now everybody needs some kind of encouragement because.
And in case you lose it, in case you lose your, what happens to those who lose their faith?
If you talk to somebody really, because you, of course,
because it is the same people.
Talk to Miracle Ihoma.
It is the same people that made them lose the faith in the first place.
You can't do life alone. Talk to somebody, really. Gain some perspective, yeah, from somebody else. Most likely a professional who can help.
You haven't told us how music can help us to cope with difficult times. We'll talk about that one another time.
Sunrise will return with the home stretch in just a moment.